field manager. Here they are, one strike away, one out away. 3-2. Yes! The Washington Nationals are world champions for the first time in franchise history.
Well, another baseball season in the books. Time for old Fireball to head into hibernation. See you all in 2020 on opening day. Opening day is here. Very exciting. I wonder if the world has changed at all since 2019. I doubt it. Greetings, citizens of YouTube, and welcome to the Suicide Squeeze Baseball Show here on the Fireball Review channel. Well, like a sun rising from the phoenix or a phoenix rising from the sun, I can't remember that analogy right now. Amidst the chaos that is going on around the world, fret not, because the Major League Baseball season is upon us. It's come to save us all, to lift us from the darkness and into the light. It's going to be very exciting. It's going to be very short. It's going to be very brief. It'll be over before you know it, Mariners fans, I promise. So before I dive into the numerous bizarre and annoying rule changes that Major League Baseball has decided to put into place for this very abbreviated season, before I go into my playoff predictions and make a complete ass of myself, I mean, how do you predict this season? It's completely unpredictable, really. How about this green screen behind me, huh, ladies and gentlemen? I traded this bad boy for a broken PlayStation 4 and a box of stale churros with the neighborhood kid down the street. He thinks he fleeced me on this deal, but I got the better end of it, I'd say. I feel a little bit like Scott Van Pelt without the suit and without the seven-figure salary. I might even do the weather a little bit later on after this video, after I do my predictions. So a couple of weeks ago, ladies and gentlemen, when Major League Baseball decided to go ahead with this 60-game schedule, they instituted some rule changes. The first rule change they made is a very sad one. It's a very disturbing one, if you ask me. The designated hitter has come to the National League. It's a very dark day for America. It's a dark day for Canada. It's a dark day for the world, for that matter. I absolutely detest the designated hitter, okay? I realize, I'm an Angels fan. I should be a fan of American League Baseball. I should be a fan of the DH. But I'm not. I hate the designated hitter. I like to see strategy in baseball. I like to see the pitcher hit. Most pitchers were their best hitter back in high school. So why suddenly they can't hit when they come to the major leagues is bizarre to me. I think it's just a cop-out. I think these guys could hit if they allowed them to actually, have some swings and BP from time to time. The designated hitter is absolute asinine. It's insanity. It's the equivalent to, let's say you meet a lady and you decide you want to get married. You say, "Oh, I love you so much. Let's get married. Let's get married in a big church and have a reception after." And then the night before the ceremony, you call the lady and you say, "Oh, I'm going to have my best man Leroy step in for me tomorrow because I don't really like crowds. I don't want to get married in front of a big church in a crowd. I don't really like churches very much. I also don't like to dance. So I'm going to have my brother Theodore dance at the reception." This is the equivalent to what is going on in Major League Baseball. It's extremely annoying. I hate the DH. My second issue with these rule changes is the whole extra inning thing, where at the beginning of extra innings in the 10th inning, they're going to have a runner start off at second base. It'll be any inning. It'll be the 11th inning, the 12th inning. Whoever makes the last out of the inning will actually start off at second base. There'll be nobody out. Now, if he goes around and scores, it won't be charged to the pitcher that inning. So that's good. That's one good thing. But I just don't like this. One of the charming things about baseball is they will play all night. They'll play till the Today Show comes on the next morning, or Good Morning America. They'll still be out there playing the next morning. I like that. I like the fact that that actually happens in Major League Baseball. You don't see that in other sports. I mean, football and soccer still have ties, for God's sakes.
What the hell's going on out here?
enough negativity, ladies and gentlemen. Let's dive into my predictions for the 2020 season. You can take these picks to Las Vegas and do nothing with them because they will all probably be wrong. Starting off in the American League East, one bet you can take to Vegas is that the Baltimore Orioles will definitely finish in the cellar in this division. They are a very bad team currently, but they still do have the best logo in the division if you ask me. I think Boston comes in fourth. They're in kind of a weird transition mode right now. Third place, it's probably going to be Toronto. Toronto is definitely moving in the right direction. They might be one of the more exciting young teams to watch this season, so keep an eye on them. And you never know in a 60-game season. Who knows? Maybe they contend for a wild card. It's definitely possible. Who knows where they're going to be playing, though? I mean, will they be playing in Buffalo? Will they be playing in Madagascar? We don't know yet because they can't even play at the Rogers Center anymore. So who knows? Second place, I am going to anger a lot of people in the Bronx with this choice. I'm picking the Yankees to finish second. I'm a little... Their starting pitching scares me a little bit. I mean, Garrett Cole is the best pitcher in baseball, but some of the other guys, they can't stay healthy. And Stanton, he can't stay healthy. He never stays healthy. I like the Rays in this division. They're sound in pretty much every facet of the game. They do everything well. They're like the American League version of the St. Louis Cardinals. And I'm picking Tampa to shock the world and win the American League East. So perhaps the division that is most up for grabs in Major League Baseball will be the American League Central. However, I don't think the Detroit Tigers will factor into that equation in any way, shape, or form. They might be shockingly bad this season. They are in a full rebuild mode. But hey, it's only 60 games. You never know. I remember the 1989 Cleveland Indians when they were led by Roger Dorn and Ricky Vaughn, and they ended up winning their division and going on to the playoffs. It was extremely exciting, but I don't think that's going to happen to the Tigers this year. I also don't think it's going to happen with the Kansas City Royals, who will likely finish fourth. They are probably another year away. A lot of young talent with the Royals, but I think they're one more, maybe 2 more years away. In third place, very sadly, will be the Cleveland Indians. And the Cleveland Indians, I think the Indians missed their window because 2-3 years ago, I was very high on these cats. I thought they were going to win a World Series for sure. And, some guys started getting older. They started trading some other guys away. Kluber has gone on to Texas now, unfortunately. And I just think they maybe missed their window a little bit. They still have a lot of talent. I still think they can win this division. But I think, quite frankly, if I'm speaking frankly with you, ladies and gentlemen, I think their owner's a little bit cheap. Just between you and I. So let's keep that on the down low. But I think the Indians probably missed their window of opportunity. I think they finished in third place in this division. Coming in second, but it's going to be very, very close. I think it's going to be a two-way race between these top 2 teams. But I think the White Sox will likely come in second. They will definitely compete for a wild card. This is a very good young team. But I still think the team to beat in this division will be the heavy-hitting Minnesota Twins. These guys hit so many home runs last year. It was unbelievable. It was like a home run derby the entire season. And then, of course, they went on to the playoffs, and as they usually do, lost to the New York Yankees. But this is a team that has improved a little bit. They added some pitching. They added Josh Donaldson to go with that already formidable lineup. So I'm picking the Twins to win the American League Central. Now, it's always sunny out in the American League West, except, of course, for Seattle, Washington, and that is where the Seattle Mariners reside. They are now the lone team in Major League Baseball who has never made a World Series appearance. I mean, I make a lot of jokes at the Mariners' expense, but they are moving in the right direction. I think the Mariners will be in the playoffs in the next couple of years. It's just not going to be this year. I think they finish in the cellar this season. Fourth place will likely be the Texas Rangers. I mean, they got Corey Kluber now, but I don't know how much left he has in the tank. And, the thing with Texas, what you always wonder with, that I know like when they were in Arlington, is how are things going to play out there for pitchers? Because Arlington was not a pitcher-friendly park. Now they move into this new place. Who knows, how that's going to play. Is it going to favor hitters? Is it going to favor the pitchers? Is it going to be neutral? We don't know. I'm picking Texas to finish fourth. And the team I'm picking third, I'm going to regret this mightily, okay? Because these guys always make me look like a complete jackass every year. I disrespect these guys, and I'm doing it again. I should know better not to do this, but I'm picking Oakland to finish in third place. You know, Oakland didn't do a whole lot in the offseason. That frightens me a little bit, but they will likely win the division and make me look like a fool. So we'll see what happens. But, you know, Oakland is used to not playing in front of any fans, so that's one good thing they definitely have going for them. Them and Tampa, of course. And second place, I know I'm going against my better judgment on this one, too. I'm going to be a little bit of a homer on this one, probably. I'm picking the Angels. I think the Angels will finish in second place. I think they'll compete for a wild card along with Oakland and a couple other teams. Ohtani's coming back. To me, Shohei Ohtani is the most exciting player in baseball. I love Mike Trout. I think the world of the guy. There's a lot of other guys I like. I love Garrett Cole a lot. I wish the Angels would have got him. But, Ohtani is extremely exciting. I mean, a guy who can hit and pitch. It's amazing what he's able to do. Hopefully he can stay healthy this time around. And I think Julio Teheran, he's going to be the X factor for the Angels. That guy had a better WAR than Dallas Keuchel last year. And to me, I think it was very similar. They might have been even. But he is the X factor for the Angels. We'll see what happens. Hopefully they'll compete for a wild card. But at the end of the day, I have to pick the new evil empire in Major League Baseball, the Houston Astros. I think these guys win the division. I mean, Justin Verlander at this point, I think this man is 162 years of age at this point in time in his life. But it doesn't matter. He's still one of the best pitchers in baseball. I think he's got a couple more years in the tank. And they're getting some other pitchers back from injury, which definitely should help. I mean, you can't replace Garrett Cole. I mean, he's the best pitcher in baseball, if you ask me. But the Astros are still good enough in all the other facets of the game. And no matter what you think of them, you got to admit they're still a pretty damn good team. I think they win this division. It should be interesting. Had this whole COVID thing not happened, though, I guarantee it, though, I think I wouldn't have picked the Astros. If they had had fans in the stands, I think they would have had a really bad road record this year. And I think they might have made the playoffs, but I don't think they would have won the division. I think the A's or the Angels might have taken it. But they caught a break with this whole thing going on. I think the Trash Bangers win the division by a couple of games. So let's mosey on over to the National League, shall we? Beginning in the National League East, quick, name me one Marlins player. You have 3 seconds. Go. I'm guessing you didn't name one. And no, Derek Jeter does not count. The Marlins will not be in the World Series anytime soon. The only Marlin that will be going to the World Series will be this guy right here.
Lawrence Levy, better known as Marlins Man.
Now, as far as the rest of the National League East goes, this is a wide open division. I don't really trust the Phillies or the Mets, though. The Phillies don't really have the pitching, if you ask me. I mean, they're relying on Jake Arrieta again this year. They're paying him ace money, and I just don't think the guy's an ace anymore. They have some good young arms. They obviously have Bryce Harper. Realmuto, he's the best catcher in baseball. I still think they're going to be in fourth place, though. They need to get some pitching this offseason. In third place, I think it's going to be the Mets. The Mets are a strange team. They remind me of, you know, when you're a kid and you play that game that picks up the stuffed animal from the glass, the big glass like container, and then like the claw comes down and picks it up, and you think you have the stuffed animal, it's coming up, and then it just drops right at the last minute. That's like the Mets. The Mets always, they look very sexy on paper, they look very good, and then something just horrendously bad happens. These guys, they've burned me many times. I picked these guys to win the World Series a few years ago, and they screwed me over. I'm not making the same mistake again this year. They have a lot of injuries in the pitching department too. Syndergaard, he's out, I think, for the whole season, if I'm not mistaken. DeGrom has some arm problems. Stroman can be a little inconsistent. I don't trust the Mets at all. Second place, this was tough. This was really tough for me. I'm going with the Braves, though. I know they're the sexy pick. Everyone's picking them to win the division this season. They think they might be the team that maybe can compete with the Dodgers. I'm not buying it, though. They have a good young team. I still think they're a little bit shy in the pitching department. And they've been hit harder with the coronavirus. They've had a few guys go down with that. Some guys have opted out. You can opt out this season. That's not good. So I'm picking the Braves second. And to be honest with you, I think the Nationals are going to repeat in this division. They have the best pitching. They have the experience. I know there's such thing as a World Series hangover. A lot of World Series teams, they don't wind up in the playoffs the next year. A lot of times they miss the playoffs. I don't think that's going to happen with the Nationals this year, though. I don't think they'll have that hangover because they've had this long stretch of not playing now. So they've kind of been able to rest a little bit. You know, a team wins the World Series. They got parades to go to. They have interviews to do. You know, they're vacationing in the south of France and all this nonsense. And, you know, before you know it, the season started, they haven't trained at all. So they've had a little bit more time to sort of get ready and decompress. And I think behind Strasburg and Max Scherzer and his two colors eyes, I think the Nats win this division. In the National League Central, it almost feels like the Pittsburgh Pirates have never fully recovered from that devastating loss they had to the Braves back in the 1992 NLCS. You know, the Sid Bream slide, Francisco Cabrera gets the hit. They had that 2-year run where they were in the playoffs about, 3-4 years ago. They looked very good. And then it's back to being a last place team again. And it's really sad. I mean, the Pirates, they were a once very proud franchise. The fact that their fans have to deal with this constant rebuild year after year after year, when teams like the Rays and the A's they have lower budgets than the Pirates, quite frankly, they win every year. Why can't the Pirates get their act together? It's very sad. They're going to be in 5th place. There's no doubt about it. I think coming in 4th place, and the mighty have definitely fallen. I think the Chicago Cubs are going to be in 4th place. Rookie managers scare me a little bit. It's just my personal preference. I know Aaron Boone did pretty well a few years back with the Yankees, but in a 60-game schedule with all the craziness going on, I don't really trust Ross to really guide these guys to a division title. You know, maybe next year, I think he might end up being a pretty good manager, but the Cubs have a lot of holes. Lester's getting older. I like Lester a heck of a lot, but he's just not he's not a spring chicken anymore. Now, the top 3 teams in this division, this is a little bit trickier. I think these 3 teams are a little bit, maybe one step ahead of the Cubbies. I'm going with the Cardinals, and this is probably not a smart decision on my part. When in doubt, it's probably always good to pick the Cardinals to win the division, but this team, they're getting a little bit older. They're young in some spots, but they're old in other spots. You know, they made it to the National League Championship game series last year, and they didn't fare too well, but they got pretty far. I mean, you got to give them credit. I think they're going to take a step back this year and come in 3rd place. It's going to be very tight. It wouldn't shock me at all if they won the division. Everyone is picking the Reds. They're sort of the sexy pick, and I understand it. Their pitching is very good, and I usually go with teams with good pitching. But they're still a little bit young in certain spots, and they just haven't been in the playoffs for a long time. And this is just such an odd season. 60 games. I just don't trust the Reds quite in a short season like this. And I think the Brewers, you know, they've been to the dance a few times here the last few years. They've made it into the postseason. Nearly made it to the World Series and eliminated the Dodgers a couple of years ago. You know, they probably should have knocked out the Nationals in that one-game playoff last year. That was a great game. They lost Moustakas, but I think the Brewers, with some of the playoff experience, I think they're going to edge out the Reds and the Cardinals by probably one game. Heading out to the National League West now. Oh, how the mighty have fallen in San Francisco as well. It doesn't seem like it was all that long ago when Tim Lincecum and Matt Cain, and of course Madison Bumgarner, who I think is the best big game pitcher in the history of baseball. These guys were absolutely dominating baseball, at least in the playoffs, winning, 3 out of 5 World Series. They will not be going to the World Series this year. Their new manager, Gabe Kapler, he can definitely win a bench pressing contest over any manager in baseball, but this is a very bad team. Now this brings me to the ultimate mediocre team in all of professional baseball, and I am speaking, of course, of the Colorado Rockies. The Rockies never win the division, even if you go back to the time when they were an expansion team back in '93, all the way to the present point in time. These guys never win the division. They're never usually in last place. They're always either in 3rd place, 4th place. It's bizarre. Usually a very good offense, just like they'll have this year, but a very bad pitching staff. John Gray is pretty much all they have. They will finish in 4th place in this division. Coming in 3rd place is a good young upstart team. I think this team has an excellent shot to get that second wild card. I am speaking, of course, of the San Diego Padres. Thank the good Lord that they went back to the brown uniforms, by the way. They are the best uniforms in all of sports. I don't care what anybody says. The Padres have a rookie manager, which, again, scares me a little bit. That's why I didn't pick them to come in 2nd place. In 2nd place, I believe it will be the Arizona Diamondbacks. I think Madison Bumgarner is going to help these guys. I still think there's a little bit left in the tank for that man. He's still got a couple more good years and maybe one long playoff run left in him. But those guys are going to be no match for the LA Dodgers. And just full disclosure here, I filmed both of these parts. I filmed the National League part of this video on Tuesday night, and I'm filming this part on Wednesday night, the eve of opening day. I wanted to get this video out the next morning on opening day before the first game takes place. So Mookie Betts has just signed a landmark contract with the Dodgers, an extension with the Dodgers. This is a very big deal, I think, because I think the Dodgers would have had a tremendous amount of pressure coming into this season if they thought maybe Mookie Betts was going to leave at the end of the year. Now they don't have to worry about that, and I think it's going to benefit them greatly. I think they win this division. And by the way, on the eve of opening night, the poor Blue Jays are still homeless. So in the AL wildcard game, the 2 wildcard teams coming out of the American League, I think it's going to be the New York Yankees. That's obvious. The Yankees, along with the Dodgers, probably have the most pressure to get to the World Series this year. The Yankees always have the most pressure to get to the World Series every year, so there's no surprise there at all. And I'm going to be somewhat of a homer on this second pick. I think the Angels are going to sneak in. They're going to sneak past the A's for that second wild card. Maybe the White Sox challenge those teams as well, but I think the Angels get it. And I think the Yankees will defeat the Angels, unfortunately, in a 1-game wild card playoff game to move on to the division series. In the National League wild card game, I think it's going to be the Atlanta Braves hosting the Arizona Diamondbacks. Should be a great game, but more than likely Madison Bumgarner would start this game, and I ain't betting against Madison Bumgarner when it comes to the playoffs. I think the Diamondbacks win a epic pitching battle, probably a 1-0 game. Now in the first American League divisional series, you're going to have the Twins going up against the Houston Astros. And this is a tough call. I'm going to go with the Twins in this series, though. The Minnesota Twins will not be facing the Yankees in the first round, at least according to me this year. So I think the Twins are going to do it. They're going to pull the upset. They're going to knock out the Astros, making a lot of people very, very happy. And the second series, it'll be the Yankees going up against their divisional rival Rays, who I think will win the division and will probably be the 1 seed in the American League. Not that home field advantage really will mean anything in any of these series, although possibly Florida, they might potentially open up their stadiums to some fans. So maybe by then, this will be in October, there might be some fans in the stands at Tropicana Field. It would be very odd, though, because it would probably be mostly Yankee fans. They have a lot of transplants from the Northeast down there in Florida, so that might be kind of funny. But be that as it may, I think the Rays, this is their year to really turn some heads. Not that they haven't really turned heads the last couple of years. This team's been very good for a couple of seasons now. I think the Rays pull off another upset. They knock out the Yankees in 5 games. So in the first National League Divisional Series matchup, you would have a rematch of the wild card game from last year between the Nationals and the Brewers. This would be a great series. I'd like to see it immensely. The Brewers bullpen and offense going up against the starting pitching of the Nationals, but I'm not betting against starting pitching, especially that Nationals starting staff. I think the Nats take this in 4 games. In the second matchup, you'd have the number 1 seed Dodgers going up against their division rivals, the Arizona Diamondbacks. And I think this is where the magic carpet ride ends for the Diamondbacks. Dodgers sweep them. The Dodgers are very good, let's be honest with you. They're doing long division, and everyone else in the National League is still on subtraction. It's a bad situation. So as you would imagine, in the NLCS, I think the Dodgers take down the Nationals. They get revenge from that division series last year. Dodgers win that series in 6 games and go on to represent the National League in the World Series. Now, in the American League Championship Series, you would have the Tampa Bay Rays going up against the Minnesota Twins. It definitely creates some interesting matchup type situations, but I think Tampa Bay, this is their year in the American League. I think they take down the Twinkies in 6 games. Now, God willing, come the end of October, we will have a World Series, and I believe it will be between the Tampa Bay Rays and the Los Angeles Dodgers. This would be an epic World Series, I think. You got the real strong bullpen that is Tampa Bay, a really solid offense, a solid pitching staff. I think the Dodgers starting staff is slightly better. I think the bullpen advantage would definitely go to Tampa Bay, and I think offensively, the Dodgers are probably a little bit better, at least on paper, but I think Tampa Bay just does the little things so well, you know, and we've seen it time and time again. Bullpens are so important when you get late into the postseason. You know, I wasn't sure who I was going to pick. When I turned on the record button to do this part of the video, I really wasn't sure. I think this World Series would be an absolute toss-up. I think the Dodgers certainly have a better chance to finally break through and get over the mountain now that Betts has re-signed for the foreseeable future. It takes a lot of pressure off them. But this is a crazy, crazy year in general, just for the world. So I think the Tampa Bay Rays, the mighty Tampa Bay Rays, will win the 2020 World Series, and they will do it in 7 epic games over the Dodgers. So everyone's picking the Dodgers and the Yankees this year. So I thought I would run in the completely opposite direction and go with the Rays. We'll see what happens. This is going to be a crazy year. You know, everyone always says baseball, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. Well, this year it's a sprint, and it should be very exciting. And as always, if you didn't like this video, hit that dislike button. Otherwise, see you next time. Happy opening day, guys. We have a cold front coming in through southern Canada into Minnesota, Florida, Texas, Arizona is going to be very hot. You live in the desert, in the swamp, ladies and gentlemen, just accept it. It is going to be very warm there.